All right. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight for the project recipe from Creative Memories called Our Moments. This is actually a pretty simple recipe and I think you'll find it very fast to assemble. I think it does work out very well either in the horizontal orientation or the vertical orientation. So if you end up with photos that instead of being landscape and you need more photos that are portrait, the page looks very nice if you do it this direction. So if you need to change the orientation of any of this, I think it still works out very well. The one thing I want to point out about the way this layout is going to come together is that this one piece of paper that they have here that is this golden color, on the opposite side is a different color and they actually punch this and fold it over. So if you don't have a good contrast on the two sides of your paper, this will not look as nice or as effective as it does here, because not only are you seeing the contrast between the two sides of the paper, but you're also seeing the fact that inside the punched out portions, you're seeing some of the second side of the paper. So I pulled out just a little piece here. So this one's a piece of paper that's green and purple. And so there's a really good contrast. So when you fold it over, you can see not only is there a contrast between the fact that I've got the purple laying on the green, but when you look inside and you look inside the punched out holes, you can actually see that green showing through. So it's a little challenging depending on what paper you're using or what paper pack you're using, but I encourage you to look at this to help guide you as to what papers you're going to use for which portion of this layout. Everything else in this layout comes together really fast and really easy. So I did a sample layout and I did it with 3 different collections. So I used the some of the totally tonal packs that we have. I did the red and orange, which is where I got this paper. I used the ones that recently came out and now I don't have it by my hand, of course. And it's the ones that was the gray and black. I'm thinking, was that one of the neutrals? Or maybe it was just called black. It was the neutral hues, so I used that, and that's what gave me this one that's used for a lot of mattes and was also used for the double matte. And then I was looking for something else that would go, that would pull in some greens, and I became very limited in which greens I could use that would work. And I actually went back to this pack field of sunflowers that we got that had green on the one side and sunflowers on the other. So that's what I used to make this layout. I'm going to use totally different sets of photos tonight, but some similar things in the paper pack. So what you're going to need is the instructions have a cardstock for matting your photos and a designer paper, which is this border strip, and then a designer paper that is the one that we're going to punch and then fold. When I did this layout, I actually didn't use black cardstock. I used this grayish white, it's gray and white, as another designer piece of paper because I thought that it actually looked good against a number of the photos. And by the time I realized, oh, I probably should have cut it on something different, I'm like, oh, it still looks good. So, and then I had 2 base papers, and for this one I chose black because I thought it contrasted well with the red, and since the team colors of these photos were red and black, that's what I was trying to pull in. So outside of the papers, you're going to need your trimmer. And if you have the scoring blade with the trimmer, that'll be really helpful. And tape Repositionable is very helpful depending on what you're going to fold over and what you're going to punch. And so the border maker system with the repositionable adhesive. So any questions on supplies or plan or anything like that before we get started cutting? And it's silent. So tell me, what papers are you all using tonight?
Christmas paper, the Joy to the World, I think.
Oh, nice. And what punch are you going to use?
I honestly don't know. I'm tempted to use the new one just because it's one, pretty, and it, you know, I think it's kind of multi-purpose, but the other option would be like a scallop.
Nice. Yes, that would work well. Okay, what about other people?
I've got the, I'm using a combination. I've got paper from the Good Times group, and I also have some from Staycation. I'm kind of putting them together to coordinate them.
Nice.
And I
Nice.
think I'm going to use the Flourish Vine one border punch to go with it.
Okay. Perfect. What about anybody else? Anybody else just doing this tonight?
I am.
Okay.
I'm using Beautiful Memories.
Ooh, that was pretty. That was pretty. Okay.
Oh, I know which one. Oh, and I'm using the one that the company used, Our Moments.
Right.
Oh, nice. I don't have that one.
I'm just watching.
You're just, all right. So I pulled some more papers from red and orange, and I pulled some from the botanical first, the green, because I have photos of some butterflies on some flowers. And I thought, I don't use red and orange because they're not colors that I tend to gravitate towards. So I thought this would be an excuse to use some more of that red and orange pack.
That'll be great.
All right. So picking your papers again, your cardstock that they have here as number 1 is mostly mattes for all of your photos. So I recommend being sure that whatever you're going to use is going to look good as a matte before you get started, because you may want to put your photos against that cardstock and just decide which way do you want to go. And if you want to switch colors, so that's the first one we're going to cut. And again, the cutting instructions on this layout tonight are super easy, super fast. This layout will come together really quickly. So our first cut is at 3.5 inches. And I just grab a little note card. That. And then you're going to cut a 4-inch strip. And then you should be left with a 4.5-inch strip left. So on the 4-inch or the 4.5-inch strip, we're going to cut a piece that is 6.5 inches. So we're going to rotate it, cut it at 6.5. The larger piece, the 6.5, is a mat for us. The smaller piece is scrap. So you might want to put that to the side so you don't get it confused. So the larger piece is our mat.
I'm sorry, Kari, can you say that again?
In the
the
4.5 piece, you're gonna
Right.
cut it, it's rotated at 6.5.
Okay,
And you're gonna keep the 6.5 by 4.5 piece. That's a mat for our layout. The other piece is scrap.
thank you.
You're welcome. And then we're gonna take the 4-inch strip and we're gonna rotate it and we're gonna cut 2 4x4 squares out with it. 4x4 and another 4x4. And now you end up with 3 pieces that are the same size. We only need 2 of them on the layout as it's made. So the one you can put aside. So that was the 4-inch strip, and you get 2 4x4 squares that you need. And then on the 3.5-inch strip, we need to get 2 pieces that are 5.5 inches long. So we have one at 5.5 and the other at 5.5. And then this little piece is scrap. So you should end up with 5 pieces. And those are all going to end up being photo mats for your layout. Are we good with that? Then the second sheet of paper we're going to cut is the one that's going to end up being this border on this side. So again, depending on which paper you're picking and what you're choosing, it should contrast nicely with your background. It's also going to be used for some mats. So again, pick whichever works, is going to work well. So on the second paper, we're going to do a 3-inch, and then we're going to do a second 3-inch. So depending on your orientation of your paper, again, this is going to be these borders down the side. So if you have words or something that you want to be sure is oriented, be sure that you put it in your trimmer correctly. So there's a 3-inch and a second 3-inch. So 2 3-inch strips, and both of those are going to be used as is. So those are already done. And you should be left with a 6-inch piece. And the 6-inch piece, you're going to trim into 3 4x6-inch mats. So you're going to rotate it and trim at 4 and then do another 4. And those are all ready to go. And then your third sheet of paper, which is the one you're going to want to turn and be able to have a good contrast between the 2 sides. We're just going to cut it in half. And again, if orientation is going to matter, you may want to take a quick look at the image of the layout. And if you're going to turn your paper based on the orientation of your photos, you may want to look at that. So we're just going to trim the paper in half. So they trim it in half, and then we're going to end up punching the small edge. So I'm going to trim the paper. So it's going to be at 6 inches. And I'm going to recommend that we just wait to score. So just put your trimmer aside momentarily, and then we'll bring it back to score in a moment. And I'm going to go ahead and punch, and I have my parchment paper covered cardboard. starting to need to be replaced up here at the top. And I know normally when we put these in, we put them in the long way and punch, but on this one, we're actually going to put it in the 6-inch side into our border maker system and punch just the short edge. So I know almost all the rest of the time we turn it and we punch the long edge. So this time you're going to do the short edge. I'm using the flourish also. And part of the reason I use the parchment paper is because all of these little pieces, I put them, they come down onto the parchment paper and they don't stick. And so then it's very easy to put it into the trash. So you're going to punch both of these on the 6-inch side.
On the 4-inch side.
6-inch.
Okay, my bad.
These are 6 inches.
Sorry.
That's okay. You got me really scared there. I was thinking, oh my goodness. Started to panic.
Got to edit the minutes then. The notes.
All right. So then you're going to want to look at your paper and decide which way you're going to fold it. So you might have an idea before you put it into your trimmer. So it says here to trim at 1.5 inch after you punch your edge. Now that is true if you use a border maker system cartridge. If you use a border punch, you might need to go a little bit wider, but it really depends on your punch. I think everybody tonight is using a border maker cartridge. So I think the 1.5 inch is going to be adequate for everybody. If you use your
Kari, what does that make the total length of this after we trim it, since they're not the same size?
Hold on. It's a little over 10 inches, 10.25. So you have plenty of room. This is how my one turned out. And I've got
That's 10.25 with it folded. So 10.25 plus whatever the folded.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now I'm not frozen. My internet connection is unstable.
Oh, boy.
All right. Or did that help? Did I spit all that out? Well,
All right, I still don't think it's clear on what the total length of it is. It was 10.25 plus whatever the folded amount.
This is a 10.25. Well, it was a 12-inch piece, and then you're folding part of it back. And so once you folded it, this ends up being about 10.25.
Right, but I thought the step before this was to trim after we punched the edge.
But this ends up you're not trimming, you're scoring.
Oh, okay. See,
You're
we're
going to score at 1.5 inches in order to just fold that back. But if you've got a really wide punch, we do have some wide border maker punches. You might want to adjust that 1.5 inch. Does that answer the question?
Yes, sorry,
Okay.
I thought we were trimming, not scoring.
No, we're just scoring. No problem. And don't do what I do sometimes. If you've used your scoring blade, be sure to put your straight blade back in and your scoring blade away. And that's everything. And now it's just assembling the layout. So it should come together fairly quickly and easily. So if you put your border strips down, and then here are these. Got quite a few mats. And there's a big one. And that goes there. And that is pretty much the way the layout's going to come together. And then you're going to fold back. But I suggest taking a quick look at your papers before you actually fold it and stick it down and see which side you like better. But this is pretty much this layout. All right, so why don't we pause the recording while I'm starting to assemble, because this is going to take a while.
It's kind of hard to see, isn't it?
Ooh, pretty.
Oh, there we go.
I grabbed old pictures because I didn't have what I took. So I just grabbed
Gotcha.
some.
They came out good on that paper, and that's the Baroque punch, right?
That is, yes. I don't
Yeah, that
have,
looks nice.
that was in the instructions. I looked for it. I didn't find it. Yeah, that's a fast one. We can whip those together, huh?
I finished mine. It's not very exciting. I don't have any embellies to put on it because I'm packed for my trip, but I used
Oh, nice.
a laser from, I think it might have been Homestead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Ooh, I
used the laser there and whatever. I'll have to, when I unpack my things, I'll add. But I really like that layout. It was nice, easy.
So fancy.
Beautiful paper.
Yeah, that looks great, Cheryl.
Ours is looking really good with all of those vibrant flowers and butterflies on there. That is so pretty.
Thanks.
I like your paper choices.
And you can make this anything depending on the punch you use. So this is great.
True. Mm-hmm.
Put the baby borders on and you're all set.
Yeah.
So wrapping up here tonight, sorry actually for that long space where we were just chatting, not realizing that recording was still on. But I'm going to add a title to this, but I'm going to have to get that together. So embellished this layout. I ended up putting a piece of black behind this kind of as a shadow effect because my papers weren't contrasting enough. And here I talked about how we ought to have papers that contrast well. And I didn't do it for this one. So, but I think everybody thought this layout went together fairly quickly. It was a pretty easy layout. And I think it's one that we can come back and use more often. So before we go, I think we should probably have Cheryl. Oh, Cheryl got hers on the recording. Anybody else who has theirs done to get?
Mine's, yep, mine's done.
All right. Go ahead, Pat. Oh, nice. I see Homestead.
No, actually, this is staycation.
Or sorry, staycation. Staycation. Yeah.
Staycation and the other one is Good Times.
Oh, yeah. That came together really
Nice.
well.
Yep.
Nice. I like it. All right. Anyone else? Okay. And before we sign off for the night, I want to remind everybody that we are doing our May challenge right now. So keeping track of layouts that you make this month and be eligible for some prizes by sharing photos. I know there have been a few issues of getting some of the photos posted to our page, but I saw a number come through today. So I'm hoping that that's taken care of. And also next week is our open Zoom crop. So come and just join us and hang out for a little while, work on your layouts and work on completing some of the May challenge props. And if there's anything else we can do for you in the meantime, feel free to message us, or you know how to get in touch with us, or share something on our page. Anything else, Colleen, Cheryl? No? All right.
I think that's it. If you haven't gotten your mystery bundle, you got until tomorrow. Wait, tomorrow's Thursday. Friday.
All right, and I know Cheryl and Colleen are having their NSDs this coming weekend, so everybody have a great time with that, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Oh, and the virtual crap is this weekend too, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep. It's a
Yeah.
busy weekend.
Nice.
All right, take care, everyone.
Bye.